Everyone, so today we're going to finish our book. We're going to read the first part of chapter 10 for Kensukes' Kingdom. So the last time we read chapter 9. So in chapter 9, if you remember, Kensuke was angry at Michael for sending the Coke bottle asking for help, but eventually he forgave him and decided to help him build a big pyre to light when they saw the next ship. And they also helped release a lot of little baby sea turtles back into the ocean. So, chapter 10 is called Killer Men Come. And here's a picture. So, shortly after this, the rains came and forced us to shelter for days on end inside the cave house. The tracks became torrents, the forest became a swamp. I longed for the howl of the gibbons instead of the roar of the rain on the trees outside. It did not rain in fits and starts as it did at home, but constantly, incessantly. I worried over our beacon that was becoming more saturated now with every passing day. Would it ever dry out? Would this rain ever stop? But Kensuke was stoic about it all. It stopped when it stopped, Mika-san, he told me. You cannot make rain stop by wanting it to stop. Besides, rain very good thing. Keep fruit growing, keep stream flowing, keep monkeys alive. You also, me also. I did make a dash up to the hilltop every morning with the binoculars, but I don't know why I bothered. Sometimes it was raining so hard I could hardly see the sea at all. Occasionally, we sallied out into the forest to gather enough fruit to keep us going. There were berries growing in abundance now, which Kensuke insisted on gathering. He didn't seem to mind getting soaked to the skin as much as I did. We ate some, but most he turned into vinegar. The rest he bottled in honey and water. For rainy day, yes? He laughed. He loved experimenting with the new expressions he had picked up. We ate a lot of smoked fish. He always seemed to have enough in reserve. It made me very thirsty, but I never tired of it. I remember the rainy season more for the painting we did than for anything else. We painted together for hours on end, until the octopus ink ran out. These days, Kensuke was painting more from his memory, his house in Nagasaki, and several portraits of Kimi and Mikiya, standing together, always under the cherry tree. The faces, I noticed, he always left very indistinct. He once explained this to me. He was more and more fluent now in his English. I remember who they are, he said. I remember where they are. I can remember them in my head, but I cannot see them. I spent days perfecting my first attempt at an orangutan. It was of Tomodachi. She would often crouch, soulful and dripping, at the cave mouth, almost as if she was posing for me. So I took full advantage. Kensuke was ecstatic in his delight at my painting and lavish in his praise. One day, Mika-san, you will be fine painter, like Hokusai maybe. That was the first shell painting of mine he kept and stored away in his chest. I felt so proud. After that, he insisted on keeping many of my shell paintings. He would often take them out of the chest and study them carefully, showing me where I might improve, but also always generously. Under his watchful eye, in the glow of his encouragement, every picture I painted seemed more accomplished, more how I wanted it to be. Then, one morning, the gibbons were howling again and the rains had stopped. We went fishing in the shallows, out at sea too, and had very soon replenished our stores of smoked fish and octopus ink. We played football again, and all the while the beacon on the hilltop was drying out. Whenever we went now, we took the binoculars with us just in case. We very nearly lost them once when Kikanbo, Tomodachi's errant son, always the cheekiest, most playful of all the young orangutans, stole them and ran off into the forest. When we caught up with him, he didn't want to surrender them at all. In the end, Kensuke had to bribe him, a red banana for a pair of binoculars. But as time passed, we were beginning to live as if we were going to be staying on the island forever, and that began to trouble me deeply. Kensuke made repairs to his outrigger, he made more vinegar, he collected herbs and dried them in the sun, and he seemed less and less interested in looking for a ship. He seemed to have forgotten all about it. He sensed my restlessness. He was working on the boat one day, and ever hopeful, I was scanning the sea through the binoculars. "It is easier when you are old like me, Mika-san," he said. "What is?" I asked. "Waiting," he said. "One day a ship will come, Mika-san. Maybe soon, maybe not so soon, but it will come. Life must not be spent always hoping, always waiting. Life is for living." I knew he was right, of course, but only when I was lost and absorbed in my painting was I truly able to obliterate all thoughts of rescue, all thoughts of my mother and father.